Time is relentless, and the truth is that it waits for no one. In this video, we explore how accepting this reality can transform your life. Instead of trying to change people or waiting for them to adjust to your expectations, the key is to adjust your own perspectives and learn to navigate through the unpredictable currents of life with wisdom and resilience. With Stoic philosophy as a guide, we discuss the importance of focusing on what we can control and embrace the present without wasting energy trying to change the uncontrollable. Find out how this mentality can help keep your relationships more harmonious and live more fully and consciously. Don't miss that valuable lesson on how to make the most of the time you have. Do you realize how false we can be? You probably already know this, but here's the hard truth. Most people will disappoint you at some point in your life. It's not that the world is against you, but simply that this is human nature. And before you get angry, think about it. How many times did you expect someone to act in a certain way, just to realize that this person's priorities weren't the same as yours? For that reason, in this video, the Stoic philosophy reminds us that we can't control how others are, but we can control how we respond to them. So instead of wearing out trying to change people, accept that they won't always live up to your expectations. It's a harsh truth, but the sooner you accept these 10 harsh realities, the better you can deal with them and enjoy life more. Number 10 is the hardest of all. Ready to meet them? But before you start, if you find value in these videos, please sign up and click the bell to keep up to date. Remember not to lose any truth, because any of them can clarify many situations in your life. Let's get started. Suffering is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. Have you ever thought that life is a constant parade of miseries? The truth is that, if you think about it, you have every reason. But here is the big surprise. Not all the suffering you experience needs to be a Greek drama. That's right. Suffering is inevitable, but how you face it is a choice. And before you panic, let me simplify this dilemma clearly. Let's put it simply. Life, in its infinite wisdom, has a wonderful way of presenting us challenges. It's like she was preparing a party, and suffering was the guest you can't avoid. From a bad day at work to relationships that become chaotic, suffering comes uninvited. But what if I told you that's not the real problem? The real problem is, how do you decide to deal with this guest? Here is the key. Your response to suffering is what really matters. Imagine that suffering is a kind of Tarzan that enters your life without warning. You have two options. You can let it shake your life from side to side, dragging you into a pit of despair, or you can decide how to face the situation. Stoic philosophy teaches us that although you can't control what happens, you can control how you react. It's like having a superpower to turn chaos into opportunity. So, how to choose better? First, accept that people, this unpredictable and fascinating group of human beings, will always offer you a dose of disappointment and complications. Think of them as ingredients in a recipe that sometimes don't mix well. Instead of being frustrated with the end result, learn to adjust the recipe. That means setting clear limits, communicating effectively, and above all, remembering that your well-being does not depend on others acting as you would like. Here's a simple trick. Instead of seeing each conflict or disappointment as a personal attack, view them as lessons. Did your friend leave you in hand at a crucial moment? Instead of sinking into anger, ask what you can learn from the situation. Was it a lesson about trust? Or maybe about the importance of not relying on others too much? Think of suffering as a kind of emotional academia. Weights can be heavy and painful, but if you decide never to lift them, you will never develop strength. Suffering, in this sense, is the grumpy coach that forces you to improve. It is not about whether suffering will come, but how you strengthen yourself with it. So next time suffering knocks on your door, don't be alarmed or adopt the role of victim. Remember that you can decide how to act before it. Life can be an endless series of challenges, but your response to these challenges can turn suffering into a powerful tool of personal growth. Instead of being a passive actor of your own drama, be the writer who directs your story. As a wise Stoic proverb rightly says, we cannot avoid storms, but we can learn to dance in the rain. So, the next time suffering appears, remember, it is inevitable, but your reaction is your choice. Ready to take the reins? Comfort is the enemy of progress. We live in a time when the couch seems to be the new throne and routine, our religion. If you have ever heard that comfort is the enemy of progress, you probably let it pass as a cliché, but it is more true than we would like to admit. These harsh truths about people, which we prefer to avoid, are the same ones that keep us trapped in our comfort zone, as if we were hugging a big teddy bear instead of facing real life. First, let's do a little exercise of imagination. Imagine that you are in a race, but instead of moving forward, you sit comfortably on a couch with a remote control in your hand. It seems absurd? That's because it is. But, unfortunately, that's what happens when we cling to comfort. The couch in this case symbolizes all those habits, thoughts, and attitudes that prevent us from moving forward. Of course, it sounds tempting, but what are you really gaining? Progress, as well as physical training, requires you to get up, sweat a little, and sometimes feel uncomfortable. Here's where the hard truths come in that you must accept about people. Most prefer the comfort zone, this place where everything seems safe and predictable. But if you want to move forward, you need to understand that people will not always be as you would like. The reality is that not everyone will be willing to share your dreams or propel you forward. Instead of waiting for everyone to be at your side, you will have to learn to be your own fan, which may be uncomfortable, but essential. Stoic philosophy teaches us to accept things that we cannot change and focus on what is within our reach. This is a particularly useful approach here. If you expect the world to adjust to its standards of convenience, you are preparing for a long series of disappointments. Instead, accept discomfort as a sign of growth. If something bothers you or causes discomfort, it is probably because you are leaving your comfort zone. And this, my friend, is a sign that you are advancing. So, how do you start breaking with the tyranny of the couch? Here are some simple but effective strategies. First, establish small challenges that take you out of the routine. You don't need to start with a 42-kilometer marathon. It can be as simple as changing the way to work or experiencing a new activity. Secondly, surround yourself with people who challenge you. You don't need a crowd of followers, just some who push you to be better. Finally, practice the detachment of results. Instead of focusing on immediate success, focus on the process and enjoying the journey. In conclusion, accepting discomfort is accepting the possibility of growth. It may not be the most comfortable path, but it is the only one that really leads somewhere. If you cling to comfort, you will be stagnant on your couch as the world continues to move. So, get up, shake the dust, and face these harsh truths. After all, progress is not a matter of avoiding pain, but of knowing how to use it as a tool to improve. Listen carefully to what I am going to tell you. On the way to success, the first obstacle is always the couch of convenience. It will not please everyone. Have you ever thought that you could be the next Steve Jobs or even the next Messi if people just understood you? Well, if you ever imagined yourself as a version of yourself that everyone loves, I need to tell you something. You are making a monumental mistake. The truth, as painful as it is that you will not please everyone, and it is okay with that. First, let's talk about the harsh reality. There is no magic formula to be loved by everyone. Imagine that you're at a party and while everyone surrounds you, you think you're conquering the crowd. Suddenly, someone in the corner starts criticizing you because your dress style is more 2020. What do? Hide in the bathroom to cry? You shouldn't. Keep enjoying the party, because in life, you can't be the hero of every chapter. In Stoic philosophy, we learn that the opinion of others is out of our control. In other words, worrying about being loved by everyone is like trying to hold water with your hands. Epictetus philosopher has made it very clear. Don't worry about what you can't control. So if someone criticizes you, think of it as a passing rain. It can water you a little, but it won't drown you. Let's be realistic. In the business world, companies know that not all customers will buy their products, so they work on conversion strategies to attract those who really care. Why should you expect something different in your personal relationships? If someone isn't interested in getting to know you better, don't wear out trying to change that person's opinion. Instead, focus on those who value who you are. Think about it like this. You're a brand, and not all people need to be your customers. Can you imagine Apple trying to convince everyone to buy an iPhone? That would be absurd. Instead, Apple focuses on its loyal customers. You should also focus on those who appreciate its qualities, and not on changing those who don't even bother to know you. Accepting that you won't please everyone is a release. You won't need to carry the heavy burden of universal approval anymore. Live your life for yourself, not for others. If you keep trying to win everyone's favor, you'll end up losing yourself in the process. And honestly, who wants to be that person who always seeks approval? It's much more liberating to be authentic with your lights and shadows and let others adjust, or not. As my grandfather used to say, you cannot be the coffee that pleases everyone. If you try, it will turn out to be warm water. Expectations lead to disappointment. Oh, expectations, this wonderful machine to make disappointments. Have you ever wondered why it is so difficult to deal with people? It is as if everyone around you has signed a secret contract to frustrate you. Well, the truth is that they probably have not signed. The problem is not in them, but in their expectations. And this is where Stoic philosophy comes in, which teaches us a crucial lesson. Unreasonable expectations lead to disappointment. Imagine that you are invited to a party and are already thinking that it will be the event of the year, with live music, dancing, and stimulating conversations. But when you arrive, you come across a room full of people you barely know, a 2010 playlist, and a buffet that seems to have been bought at the gas station on the corner. Total delusion. Does that sound familiar to you? Here's the hard truth. People rarely follow the script you wrote for them. We hope that our friends will always be understanding, that our coworkers will always be competent, and that the world will generally follow the rules that we have imposed ourselves. Reality, of course, is much more chaotic and less predictable. That's something the Stoics understood perfectly. According to them, our anguish does not come from the events themselves, but from our expectations about these events. The first strategy to deal with this frustration is simple. Adjust your expectations. Instead of waiting for everything to go perfect, accept that life is chaos, and that people will not always behave as you would like. If the party is mediocre, at least you can laugh at the situation instead of feeling devastated. Another approach is to focus on what you can control, your reactions. Instead of being frustrated because your friend did not invite you to an important event, try to understand that he also has his own universe of problems and priorities. Keep your expectations at a more realistic level, and welcome surprises. People are as unpredictable as a soap opera, and if you stop expecting them to act like characters from an idealized script, it will be easier to enjoy the show. Finally, try to apply the mirror technique. Ask yourself, am I the one imposing impossible standards? People have defects and virtues, and you are not the supreme judge of their behavior. Accepting this will not only make you more tolerant, but will also free you from the weight of your own unreasonable expectations. Life is a theater where most actors do not follow the script you wrote. If you learn to drop these expectations and accept reality as it is, you will save yourself a lot of suffering and disappointment. Stoic philosophy offers you an ancient but effective remedy. Accept what you cannot change and work on what you can control. As Jung said, expectations are the fertile ground where disappointments grow. Cultivate acceptance, and the garden of your inner peace will flourish. 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. Have you noticed how much time you spend comparing yourself to others? It's like life is a huge popularity contest, where everyone strives to be the coolest. But honestly, how many times have you won in this competition? The reality is that the game is much more complicated than it seems, and often, it's not even in your hands. Let's be clear. Comparing yourself with others is an extreme sport that, instead of offering adrenaline, makes you exhausted and disappointed. Imagine that your life is a race in which each runs with a different pair of sneakers. While you spend your life looking at the brilliant sneakers of your competitors, they are busy concentrating on their own races, with their own challenges and goals. Now, let's say you're in an office, and you see a colleague who always seems to have his life settled. The promotion, the perfect family, the toned body. Have you ever wondered what would happen if that person was also wishing to have his life? Perhaps, seeing his apparent ease to make friends, he feels that he lacks something essential. The point is that we never know the complete truth behind appearances. Stoic philosophy offers us a valuable perspective on this topic. Stoics believed in focusing on what is under our control and accepting what is not. Instead of wearing out comparing your life with that of others, focus on improving yours. Its value is not in what others have or do, but in how you manage your own journey. So how can we stop comparing ourselves and start living better? First, identify and accept your own strengths and weaknesses. Instead of trying to be the best at everything, focus on improving what really falls in love with you. The real competition is with yourself, not with the rest of the world. Ask yourself, what can I do today to be a better version of myself? Second, limit the time you spend on social networks. Digital platforms are designed to make you feel unsatisfied, showing only the most perfect moments in other people's lives. If you need to do a daily check, do so with a critical and conscious mind that what you see is just a small part of the story. Practice gratitude. Dedicate a few minutes every day to recognize what you have and what you have achieved. Instead of focusing on what you lack, celebrate your victories, big or small. That does not mean ignoring your aspirations, but recognizing that you have come a long way. Stop torturing yourself with absurd comparisons. The only way to live a full life is to embrace your uniqueness and make peace with the fact that each one has his own way. Remember, true freedom comes when you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on your own journey. So the next time you feel tempted to measure your life according to the lives of others, stop for a moment and remember, in this race, only you are the referee of your own happiness. As Oscar Wilde said, no matter how fast you run to reach others, you'll always be in the wrong place if you don't love yourself first. The world owes you nothing. Conquer your place. Have you ever caught up with that feeling that the world owes you something? Yes, the one that appears when the coffee pours out, the traffic turns into medieval torture, or when simply life does not align with your expectations. It is curious how, sometimes, we expect life to be a path of roses, without thorns or stones in the shoe. But the truth, however hard it is that the world owes you nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's be honest. If you've ever believed that the universe is eager to grant you a favor, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. The reality is that instead of waiting for them to give you something, you should be looking for ways to conquer it. That's the harsh and often ignored truth that Stoic philosophy presents to us. Stoics teach us that instead of waiting for life to treat you in a special way, you should focus on how you can improve your own attitude and actions. Imagine that you are in a queue to get a ticket to a show. There you are, waiting patiently. But suddenly someone comes and sticks the queue right in front of you. Your natural reaction is to get angry and think that the world is unfair. That's understandable, but it doesn't change the fact that this person is still in front of you in line. This is where the Stoic concept comes in. Instead of wasting your energy on frustration, why not use this time to prepare better or find another solution? Sometimes the real victory is in how you deal with adversity, not in how you avoid it. Of course, This does not mean that you should resign to a life of endless suffering. The point is that your success does not come from external circumstances, but from how you choose to face them. If you are always waiting for others to give you a push, you will be trapped in an eternal waiting room. Instead, take control of your own destiny. Your attitude, your effort, and your perseverance are the only coins with which you can pay your entrance into the life you want. An effective way to approach this is through continuous self-assessment. Ask yourself, what can I do to improve my situation? If you are dissatisfied with your work, instead of complaining, think about how you can acquire new skills or change the focus. If you feel stagnant in your relationships, evaluate if you're doing your best or if there is something that can improve. This self-supervision mentality will not only help you advance, but it will also give you a sense of control that will free you from the frustration that arises when you expect the world to give you something that may not owe you. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself the opportunity to win what you want. Life is more like a gym than like a gift shop. You get nothing without sweating your shirt. Stop waiting for favors and start working for what you want. The real lesson here is that satisfaction and success are built, not inherited. Remember, sometimes it is better to be the architect of your own destiny than to expect the world to give you the project. And as the old saying goes, life will give you what you work for, not what you expect to receive. Honesty is not always the best policy. Have you ever had one of those conversations that starts with, "I'm going to be completely honest"? Yes, those where you prepare to receive a dose of reality so strong that you almost feel the need to put on a helmet. Honesty, that value, so exalted and often misunderstood, can be a two-edged weapon. In real life, the phrase, "honestness is the best policy," does not always translate into, "everyone will be grateful for their frankness." In fact, sometimes it's more like saying, "I'll tell you the truth, and probably it will hurt you." I'll explain it simply. Have you seen how a glass breaks with a hammer? That's what happens when you give someone a very raw truth. People aren't always ready to receive the truth in its most naked and raw form, like a direct injection of sincerity without anesthesia. And that's where the dilemma comes in. Telling the truth is like cooking an exquisite dish. If you are not careful with the amount of spices, it can spoil everything. Imagine that you are in a meeting and a coworker who always arrives late asks what you think of his punctuality. If you are completely honest, you could say, "You are like a broken clock, never arrives on time." Of course, that's a truth, but it's also a recipe for creating enmities. The Stoic philosophy, which encourages us to accept what we cannot change and act with serenity, gives us a clue on how to deal with these situations. It's not just about telling the truth, but about doing it with tact and empathy. Here comes the strategy of sweetening the truth. I'm not talking about putting sugar in bitter truths, but involving them in a layer of delicacy. Instead of destroying someone's self-esteem with a painful truth, try presenting reality constructively. For example, instead of saying your presentation was a disaster, you could opt for, "There are some areas where you could improve, and I have some suggestions that can help you." Another technique is gradual focus. Sometimes people need time to process difficult truths. It's not that you want to lie, but you prefer to soften the impact, as if you were teaching someone how to swim, rather than pushing them straight into deep water. The idea is to guide people to the truth, not to throw it in their faces. Honesty is not always the best policy if your goal is to maintain harmonious and effective relationships. At the end of the day, telling the truth with tact and empathy is usually a more effective strategy than simply throwing it without filter. Remember that the truth can be a gift, but it can also be a heavy burden. The key is how you choose to deliver it. So the next time you feel the urge to be brutally honest, stop for a moment and think, am I really helping someone with my sincerity? Or am I just looking for a way out from my own frustration? Stoic philosophy teaches us that the way we communicate with others should also be reflective and compassionate. As Gandhi rightly said, Truth does not need to be spoken with violence. It can be delivered with grace and yet be powerful. Failure is the way to success. Have you ever wondered how it is possible for some people to see failure as a springboard for success, while others consider it a divine punishment? Let us unravel this puzzle with a good dose of realism, and, if I may say so, a touch of sarcasm. Imagine that you are in a chess game, but instead of following the traditional moves, you decide to make your own rules. That's how you feel when you face failure. Most people see it as an absolute defeat, a kind of movie ending where the hero doesn't save the day. But, in reality, failure is more like an alternative script that, if you play your cards well, can lead you to the happy ending you want so much. First, let's understand a hard truth. People tend to take certain things as guaranteed, especially when it comes to other people's successes. Romantic vision of success usually excludes any mention of endless hours of work, sleepless nights, or piles of accumulated failures. It seems we all want the magic formula for success without having to go through the desert of failure first. How convenient, no? Now, let's talk about Stoic philosophy, which is nothing more than accepting that things don't always go the way we want, and that suffering is part of the journey. Stoics believe that failure is not an obstacle, but an opportunity to learn and grow. It's like every time you stumble, instead of falling and staying on the ground, they give you a map with new routes to explore. But how to apply this in your daily life? Imagine that you are trying to learn how to play guitar. Every mistake, every tuneless note, is not a reason to give up, but a step towards mastery. Each failure is like a step on a ladder that, although it may seem endless, takes you to a much higher and more satisfying place. Now, let's talk about the possible solutions. The next time you face a failure, instead of asking why with me, ask what can I learn from this? Do an honest analysis, not the kind that serves to create an apology list, but that helps you identify areas of improvement. If you fail in a presentation, don't be sorry. Evaluate how you can improve your speech or your public speaking skills. It's like improving in chess. You need to understand your mistakes to not repeat them. In addition, change your perspective. If you see failure as an enemy, you will always be on guard, fearing every possible mistake. But if you see it as an ally on your way to success, each setback becomes a valuable lesson. It is a change of mentality that can turn your failures into disguised successes. Failure is not the end of the world, but the beginning of a series of new opportunities. Adopting a Stoic mindset allows you to embrace your mistakes and learn from them instead of letting them bring you down. Next time you face a failure, remember, it is not a punishment, but a sign that you are moving towards something greater. As Einstein said, success is not the absence of failures, but the ability to rise after every fall. Your dreams may not coincide with your life. Have you ever woken up to the feeling that your dreams and your real life are in parallel universes? Yes, those same dreams that you hold 7 keys, like a treasure hidden in the attic of your hopes. Reality, on the other hand, seems to be at a party for which you were not invited. Rest assured, you are not alone. In fact, it is quite common that our ideals do not fit perfectly in the life we lead. In this text, I invite you to explore this discouraging truth with a touch of sarcasm, because sometimes laughing is the only way to survive the ironies of existence. First, let's talk about the expectations you have about your life. Imagine that your dreams are like a big burger with all the ingredients: cheese, bacon, that special sauce that promises to be the elixir of your happiness. Now visualize your real life as a dish of steamed broccoli, with a flavor as exciting as a Sunday afternoon at home. It's a brutal contrast, isn't it? Reality has this magical ability to turn grand dreams into mere longings, as if you were trying to mix water with oil. The truth is that we often find ourselves surrounded by people who sell the illusion that we can have everything, that success is right around the corner, as if it were an offer in a supermarket. Only today, If you buy this personal development course, you will get 2 free coaching sessions. Of course, and if you kick yourself in life, you can even find your way to nirvana. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. Stoics knew that accepting reality as it is, without adornments or excuses, is the first step in finding true inner peace. They did not live in a world of fantasies. They understood that life has a cruel way of diverting their plans. Instead of cursing fate, they accepted the situation and found ways to adapt. It is not about giving up, but of being realistic and finding practical ways of moving forward. Now, to deal with this discrepancy between dreams and reality, I propose a more pragmatic approach. Instead of throwing yourself into the void chasing unattainable goals, try to set small, attainable goals. If your dreams are to climb the Everest, start climbing a nearby hill. Perhaps the broccoli and steam is not the banquet you expected, but in time you can add some spices and turn it into something more tasty. The trick is to adapt your expectations without losing sight of your ultimate goal. In addition, invest time in getting to know yourself better. Ask yourself what is really important to you and what your priorities are. Maybe you will find that the way to your dreams is not a triumphal walk, but a series of small steps, each with their own challenges. Learn to appreciate these moments when things don't go as expected, because it's those moments that teach you and shape you. In conclusion, your dreams may not coincide with your current life, and everything is fine. Life is a series of unexpected twists and surprises, and learning to navigate them with an ironic smile is an art itself. Stop comparing your broccoli to the burger of your dreams and start enjoying every bite along the way. Maybe you will not become the hero of your dreams, but you can become an amazing version of yourself. As Marian Rojas says, dreams are the fuel, but it is the acceptance of reality that ignites the engine. Time waits for no one. If there is one thing we can say for sure in this life, it is that time is relentless. No matter how hard you try or how hard you hold on to it, the clock continues to advance mercilessly. And here you are, watching time slip through your fingers like grains of sand. Sometimes you get caught thinking about the people around you and how they influenced your life. Maybe you have already wondered if you could somehow make them stop, if they fit your expectations, or at least act in a way that wasn't so painful for you. Well, here's the hard truth. Time waits for no one, and people surprisingly don't either. People often have the ability to disappoint us, but most of the time that doesn't happen because they're inherently evil, but simply because they are who they are. There's nothing more liberating and, at the same time, crueler than accepting that people act according to their own interests and limitations, not ours. For example, if you expect a friend to remain the same as always, even after he has changed his priorities in life, he is putting himself in a situation of almost right disappointment. It's like trying to make a storm calm just because you don't want to get wet. As much as you want, the storm will follow its course, regardless of your discomfort. You may think you can change people with your advice, patience, or unconditional love, but in reality, you are struggling with a natural force much stronger than any personal influence you can exert. Accepting that people will not adjust to your wishes is essential as learning how to navigate a turbulent river without waiting for the waters to calm down just because you want them to. If you really want to improve your life, you should focus on adjusting your expectations and finding ways to navigate the currents of life without wearing out in vain. Now, how to accept this harsh truth without it becoming painful? Stoic philosophy offers us an interesting perspective. According to Stoics, we must focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. Instead of expecting people to change, you can focus on how to respond to their actions and how to adapt your life to keep moving forward, despite other people's limitations. It's like adjusting the route of a trip when you find an unexpected detour. It can be frustrating, but it doesn't stop you from continuing. On the contrary, it allows you to move forward more efficiently. So, here's the trick. Accept that people will be who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't wear yourself waiting for them to behave differently. Instead, direct your energy to improve your own ability to deal with the surprises of life. Adjust your expectations, accept people as they are. And above all, don't waste time waiting for someone to adjust to your idea of how it should be. After all, time waits for no one, and neither should you. At the end of the day, it is much healthier to focus on what you can control. What will you do with the time you have? That is the real question. As Mario Alonso Puig rightly said, life does not stop because you expect others to change. It advances as quickly as the clock. I sincerely hope that this message has been helpful. I sincerely want to congratulate you for coming this far and completing the video. That means that you want to improve as a person. If you liked the video, leave your comment. If you don't know what to say, comment gratitude. Then I'll know that you've watched until the end. If you're not already on the channel, what are you waiting for? Sign up now and join us. Stoicism is full of teachings like this, which are applicable to our everyday life. Therefore, I encourage you to continue learning about this philosophy. I leave here 2 videos full of Stoic wisdom so you can continue learning. Until next.